What's up, San Antonio? What's up, South Texas? This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from West Bexar County. What's going on? Look at the faces with us today. We got Jack Thompson. You know him from San Antonio Sports Star. Jack, what's going on, my man?
What up? What up, man? Happy to be here.
Okay, typically we have a 2-minute intro of music to kind of come in and let people know that the show is starting and whatnot. For some reason, my system's not working that way, not giving that 2-minute intro. So we're going to wait a couple of minutes, let people jump on board and whatnot. The chat is going to be available. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. And sometimes we're live on Twitter as well. But we're going to wait a couple of minutes to get things going. Sam Salinas already in the house right now saying, what's up, morning, fellas? Hey, Jack, going to let you know, man, this is your first time on the Alamo City Sportscast. Am I correct here?
It is indeed the first
First time.
time.
You and I have done radio before. We have sparred back and forth. We sparred last week on Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia. It was fun. It was fun.
Yes,
And it
sir.
brought to mind the times that you and I would go at each other and just battle about college sports or whatever. I know that you're better than me when it comes to college basketball, right? I'm a fan. You're a super fan when it comes to it. We're going to talk about how the Spurs picked up a player today that was a former 5-star high school recruit 3 or 4 years ago. Like blast from the past. So we'll be getting into that. We're talking about the NFL. You know, the thing about it is this. I look at it and I think to myself, has the change in the guard already happened? Because, you know, it used to be that it was going to be all about Mahomes, Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, and, you know, those kind of guys, right? Josh Allen. Now look at it going, wait a minute. Did the change of guard happen again? Jordan Love, CJ Stroud, these guys, Caleb Williams. You know, what is going on? Because I have never seen a list of quarterbacks that I think can conceivably win a Super Bowl. And it's just so funny what's going on with that.
Yeah, the quarterback depth across the league is pretty crazy now with all the great young rookies. I mean, we've yet to see what, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Jalen Daniels, all those guys are going to do. But, I mean, if they live up to expectations, we're going to have close to 15 Super Bowl like caliber quarterbacks across the league. It's pretty insane, the quarterback depth. It's catching up to every other position. It used to be, there was maybe 8 quarterbacks in the league that you would trust you to take you to a Super Bowl. But with these young guys, and we still, Trevor Lawrence still out on him, not really sure if he's going to live up to that. You've got Jared Goff that has brought his name back into that conversation. The QB depth across the league is only second to the wide receiver depth. It's pretty awesome.
And somewhere Dak Prescott is floating around, not knowing exactly what he is, but he might be the first $60 million guy. We'll get into that. One of the things we want to do is get to know you a little bit as well. Okay, so we do a get to know you segment, and basically it's kind of like, what do you like? You're working out. I'm going to ask you later, what music are you listening to when you work out? Who was your celebrity crush growing up? Who was your celebrity crush now? So kind of get that percolating in your head right now. But we're going to get the show started. Again, this is the Alamo City Sportscast. By the way, this is a special episode, everybody. Special episode. Not only is it Jack's first time here, this is episode 200
of
the Alamo City Sportscast. We now have 1,040 subscribers strong. The only podcast going on late mornings here in San Antonio, because San Antonio Sports Star, Ticket 760, they go dark with local programming from 10 to 2. We kind of help bridge that gap there. So that's kind of, we don't compete with them. They don't compete with us. It's just, we're just filling the gaps. And Jack and I have been on Sports Star before, sparring back and forth on certain things. This is going to be fun, but let's kind of get into it a little bit. Jack, you know what? I'm glad that I ran back into you on Locked On Spurs the other day with Jeff Garcia. Because Jeff, that was a great show. That was a great show. He's at 5,000 subscribers now. But we're going to flip the script a little bit. We've talked football in the past as well. I was watching Hard Knocks. I know a new episode is going to be coming up right now, Chicago Bears, and I was watching the whole thing about Caleb Williams and whatnot. Are you a fan of Hard Knocks? Is that something you're still watching?
I haven't tapped into this season yet, but I definitely am a fan of Hard Knocks. I've watched the past. I watched both last year, so I'll find some time and get into this season.
The first episode I saw wasn't that impressed by it all. I remember back in the day, it was a big deal. Like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, it was so incredible to watch what goes on inside. I'm not saying that it's contrived now, but I'm not seeing anything that I haven't seen before. But it's the storylines that kind of draw you in. And the storyline that they're trying to give us is that Caleb Williams is the next coming of something special, right? Number 1 overall pick. And if you take a look at this past weekend with the preseason games, and I know they're just preseason games, Caleb Williams looked good. Jaden Daniels, Washington Commanders, formerly of LSU, looked really good. CJ Stroud, his second preseason game of the year, Tank Dell, 34-yard touchdown. It's like nothing has changed, right? It got me thinking about these quarterbacks, and I'm like, wait a minute. We were always talking about the change to the guard from Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and Tom Brady to the next batch of quarterbacks, right? Headed by Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. But now it just seems like, wait a minute. That might have been short-lived. There's this next wave of quarterbacks coming on in that we can all get really excited about, just depending on their circumstance. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, man, Joe Burrow, that time that he made to the Super Bowl, that might be the only time he ever gets to the Super Bowl, because there's so many names out there, and there's still Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, is in his prime.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. I mean, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, who else falls into that category?
Justin
Of
Herbert,
the
probably.
Herbert, maybe Tua, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, all those guys that were supposed to be the next wave seem to have been caught up to or lapped by the next wave that is coming in. So yeah, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and um, Justin Herbert definitely have a ton to go out and prove next year that they're still those guys that we thought they were, and that they are still, high level quarterbacks in this league that have not been lapped by these young guys yet. We haven't seen it from Herbert. We've seen a little bit from Joe. Trevor Lawrence also in that Herbert category, kind of falling short. I still have high hopes for those guys. I still think they can be the quarterbacks that we thought they were coming out of the league. And I think to take Joe Burrow down to this level may be a little too hasty. I mean, he missed last season, but the seasons prior, the dude, he's absolutely money behind in the pocket. He's one of the best passers in the league. So I think that we'll see definitely a resurgence of a healthy Joe Burrow. It'll be interesting to see what Herbert looks like under the new regime. I mean, he's lost his weapons, which is definitely a big deal. I mean, no Mike Williams, no Keenan Allen. I don't even know who the number one receiver on that team is. It's Josh Palmer, Lad McConkey, or Quentin Johnston from the Who Are Those Guys file. And then
Sounds like the Cowboys running back depth.
yeah, exactly. And then they don't have Eckler anymore too. So it'll be interesting to see what that team looks like, but I'm excited to see what Herbert can do under Harbaugh. I think that's a great pairing, coach QB combo. And then you go to Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Calvin Ridley's gone. He's got Etienne. He's got Evan Ingram. He's got Christian Kirk. They now have Gabe Davis. So they have some pretty decent weapons over there to get Trevor Lawrence along the way. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the clash between what was supposed to be the next wave and what looks like the real next wave of QBs looks like this year.
Yeah, you mentioned Joe Burrow. Big fan of Joe Burrow. As people know, my daughter graduated from LSU, so I go to LSU football games every year. And Burrow is a legend over there. 4 seasons already in the NFL. It seems as though he's a second and third year player for me, but it's already 4 seasons in. 2 of those seasons, he has missed 7 games because of an injury. That gives me cause of concern. Last year played only 10. He played 16 the year prior, 16 and then 10 his rookie season. I don't want to have him have that tag of being injury prone. But when he's out there and he's healthy and he has Jamar Chase and he has all the other talented receivers around him, he's one of the best out there to play. And he is not afraid of Patrick Mahomes. They call Arrowhead Burrowhead, for crying out loud, because more often than not, he goes in there and he wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's the health behind it all. You also mentioned the name Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, that's the wild card of it all. Because if you want to say that Tua is going to be a top 5 quarterback, I wouldn't be surprised. If you want to say he's going to be a mid 15 to 20 guy, I wouldn't be surprised. But he has the weapons around him to be successful. And I love what they're doing there in Miami. There's so much going on over there. Now you have Aaron Rodgers back from injury with the Jets. So much going on in the AFC that it's going to be so much fun to watch. And the NFL season gets going in just basically in less than a month. It gets going. It's going to be an exciting time. But I want to talk about the Houston Texans. So, we have a mutual friend in James Pledger. Okay. James Pledger gives me so much crap, both back in the day at Sports Star and also on this podcast. because he says, Jimenez, you're always wrong about everything. And I'm like, no, I'm right about a lot of the big things, right? I was right about how the Spurs needed to tank for Wemby. And what I was right was he's a big Texans fan. He was so pissed off when the Texans won the last game of the season to drop them at number 2. And I said that was the best thing that could have ever happened because they avoid Bryce Young. I wanted CJ Stroud. And that right there on his favorite team, I called it that CJ Stroud was going to be the guy. And then they moved up to get number 3 in that draft as well. They've been brilliant. Made the playoffs last year, right? They had a strong showing. They overshot everyone's expectations. But now people are prepared for them. Now people are having to have that team circled on the calendar. I got to ask you this question. For the second year that we're going to have CJ Stroud, what is a good season for him this year? Is it Super Bowl or bust? Or can there be a thing where, okay, make the AFC Championship game, make it to the second round of the playoffs? What is considered to be a good season for the Houston Texans?
Yeah, I mean, the expectations over there in Houston are definitely pretty lofty after what we saw last year. And then they go out and they add some more key pieces. I mean, they add Stephon Diggs, one of the best receivers in the NFL, quite arguably the biggest diva in the NFL too. So we'll see how that gasoline burns over there. And then they had Joe Mixon. I mean, steady running back, was with the Bengals for a long time, and he put in a lot of yards over there, both receiving and rushing. So they had some dynamic weapons. They've shored up the defense even more with getting Danielle Hunter on the other side. That's a scary team, man. They're definitely circled on everyone's calendars. And I don't think it's nearly Super Bowl or bust. And I don't think it's AFC championship or bust. But I do think a good season would be, it's year 2 under CJ. So the expectations, while they did some fantastic things last year, you're always going to regress to the mean. And year 2, he should be better. Everyone should be better, but now you've got tape on him. You know what he does well. You know his what he likes to do, what he doesn't like to do, and you can highlight those areas and try and negate what he does best. So the tape is definitely going to help the regression. But I think that this team is absolutely playoff bound. I would say the only next step for me with CJ is go out, win a playoff game. That's the next step you got. You can't build a house without laying all the foundation
Right.
first. And he's got that solid foundation set with making it in his first year. He knows what it takes to have a successful season. The next thing is to start having successful postseasons. And I think that begins with just the easy win your first playoff game. You win 2, that's money. You're taking an extra step. But I would say it's a successful season if they make the playoffs and he takes them to the second round.
And he did that last year. I mean, they were 10-7, won the AFC South, beat Cleveland in the first round of the playoffs, lost to Baltimore in a brutal game. They got whipped by Baltimore. CJ Stroud, I'm taking a look at the Houston Texans depth chart. And I hate to compare and contrast with the Cowboys, because are you a Cowboys fan? I'm trying to remember here.
Die hard.
You were born into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what the Cowboys depth chart looks like offensively right now, right? Look at the Houston Texans, who, by the way, they play each other in Jerry World. Quarterback, CJ Stroud, Davis Mills, okay? Running back, Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce. When Dameon Pierce is your backup running back, you have some depth here. Wide receivers of Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Robert Woods, Noah Brown. Don't forget about John Mechie as well. Dalton Schultz as tight end. You got Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. Shaq Mason at right guard. Dude, this team is stacked offensively. They are stacked. And I think the Houston Texans, because the Texans have the second hardest schedule in the entire NFL this year, that's going to be the one hiccup, right?
Yep. That's what happens when you win.
That is true. But man, 11-6, 12-5. Okay, an 11-6 or 12-5 would be more impressive than the 12-5 the Cowboys have been doing when they have to play the Giants twice, they play the Commanders twice. 12-5 in that conference is huge. And right now, what I hate about the playoffs right now, back in the day, you used to have 2 teams that had byes and then 4 other teams that would play each other in the same conference. Now it's the top team that gets a bye and the other 6 have to play each other. You add a 7th team, but 1 fewer bye. The Texans, to me, if they're going to have a successful season, need to get back to the second round of the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can't take a step backwards. They need to win this division, and they should win this division. With that talent, there's no reason. The only reason would be CJ Stroud gets hurt, not putting that into the world out there, out into the open. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But CJ Stroud, what, 9, 10, 11 to 1 odds to win MVP? Can he be the guy that is the 1A to Patrick Mahomes? Because he sure has all damn looks like it. Can do it with his legs. The football IQ of that guy is so great, and it's so fun to watch. And I wonder if Houston Texans fans, do you see this happening? Houston Texans fans starting to peel away a Cowboy fan, peel away a little bit of that fandom, or do you think Cowboy fans are just Cowboy fans through and through?
Well, I mean, Cowboy fans, like a lot of the other major sports franchises across, all of sports, Lakers, Warriors, Yankees, Dodgers. There's a lot of bandwagon guys out there. There's a lot of jump ship types. And yeah, I mean, if things don't change around the Cowboys, I mean, me being a diehard fan, I'm just like sick and tired of not like prioritizing winning. That's just what it really comes down to. What it seems like with Jerry Jones and his regime, especially now, it's just I'm sick and tired of them not prioritizing guys that they draft, they build up to the best players in the league in their position, and then they don't want to pay them. That's just it's not how it works. You're literally doing the complete opposite. You're supposed to build it from the ground up and pay the players that you draft in development. That's literally the name of the game, how you want to go about it. It's the easiest way to do it because you don't have to find trades and all that. And we've done it with three key positions in the league, probably the most important three: quarterback, edge rusher, star wide receiver, and yet none of these guys are under contract. It's for their extension. It really makes no sense to me. These are some of the top guys across the NFL, regardless of position. I mean, especially Mike and CD. There can be arguments made for those two that they're the best at their position. So the fact that we're not prioritizing paying these guys and keeping them happy, it drives me insane. So I can definitely see, the Cowboys fans who are Cowboys fans because it's, cool to be a Cowboys fan or whatever. Yeah, I could absolutely see those type of fans jumping ship and going to the Texans. I mean, why would you not? The Texans are in a way better spot. They've got a young, fun QB. They have the best receiving core in the NFL. They've got awesome defensive stars from rookies to vets from every position, from like outside linebacker, edge rusher, safety, cornerback. Like they have fun players everywhere on that team. Also with a young, fun coach that is about the times right now. And he's fun with the media, he's fun with the players. They have great rapport amongst each other. Everything is going right in the Texans way, and it is a bandwagon fan's dream. So if you're going to do it, you better jump on early because that train's starting to run.
We've coined the term here, Sancha team. Okay, the rule is you can cheer for another NFL team that's beyond yours as long as they're in a different conference. Okay, so I'm a Saints fan. I adopted the Bengals because of Burrow, but I've put a waiver in to become a Texans fan, which I cheered for the Texans back in the day. And then, Bill O'Brien killed those dreams for me, man. Bill O'Brien was the worst coach I've ever seen. By the way, good news for the Cowboys today. They are now valued at $10.32 billion, according to Sportico's NFL valuations, the first team in the world to ever be valued at $10 billion. They
Back
sell
to
a
my
lot of
point.
T-shirts. But we do have some breaking news coming in from RJ Ochoa, our good friend over at Blogging the Boys. Chuma Edoga, who was injured in the first preseason game against the Rams over the weekend. The injury is a big deal. He has a broken toe, out 4 to 6 weeks, will miss game 1 of the season, at least of the regular season, which means that you have a rookie coming in and starting for the Dallas Cowboys at left tackle to start the season. Now, Tyler Guyton's a good rookie out of OU, good player. They got him number 29 in the draft for a reason.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, it's not the best thing in the world to throw them out to the Wolves, especially at left tackle in the NFL.
I mean, when you said lower body injury, broken toe is about the best case scenario for a left tackle, man. That's We'll be fine with that. He'll come back 100%. I mean, if he just misses week 1, that's fantastic, best case scenario. With going back to Tyler Guyton, I mean, I'm not worried about throwing him into the fire at all. We saw
Okay.
what happened with our what's his name? The right tackle or right guard rather now or left guard. What's it? Um
Tyler Smith.
Tyler Smith. I mean, we threw him into the fire and he thrived in it. He thrived in it. He, turned coal to diamonds, all that kind of stuff. He's become a fantastic player. And I mean, everything I've seen from Guyton so far is this guy's looking like a perennial Pro Bowler once he really figures it out. He's 6'8", moves with feathery feet, extreme power. I mean, this guy, he's got everything you need in a left tackle. So I think throwing him into the fire might be a best case scenario for him so he can get some, early first team reps, see what it's really about. Maybe he takes that job from Chuma in real live action games. I mean, who's to know? And having a veteran come in off the pine is never a bad thing. So this could be, while it's quite unfortunate, you never want any of your players to get hurt. It could end up being a good thing for the Cowboys because Tyler Guyton, younger, probably more powerful, all those kind of things. And Chuma's got the experience and the veteran knowledge that is definitely very integral coming off the bench or starting, where whatever happens. But I don't think this is going to end up being a bad thing for the Cowboys at all. Besides, you never want anyone to get hurt, of course.
Our YouTube stream is up and running. The live chat. We have Mario Cavazos in the chat saying this is a blessing. Chuma is a good backup. Guyton is better now, and he's as a rookie, he's better now. Tyler Smith, when the Cowboys drafted him, that was the whole point, right? Was the fact that they can move him up and down the line. Not a lot of offensive linemen can do that, where they can play not only tackle and guard, but go from the left side to the right side and back and forth. And it was so funny because I remember during the draft, they were like, well, there are other offensive linemen, other tackles who might be rated higher. The Cowboys thought the versatility was more important than anything else. They'd rather take a good, versatile player than a great player who's stuck at one position. Joined by Jack Thompson of San Antonio Sportscast, a good friend of mine. The Dallas Cowboys, we're talking about RJ Ochoa. Blogging the Boys is an amazing job. Blogging the Boys was, by the way, on a segment on ESPN earlier this week because RJ Ochoa interviewed Emmitt Smith. And what I love about Emmitt Smith is that he's not afraid to criticize his old team. He has eviscerated this franchise before. And RJ was asking him about fan apathy. And the term that Emmitt Smith threw out there was fan fatigue. And one of the greatest players of this franchise, imagine hearing David Robinson or George Gervin say that the Spurs fans are suffering from fan fatigue. We're hearing that from Emmitt Smith with the Cowboys. When he says that there's fan fatigue because Cowboy fans are tired of not winning, tired of excuses from the front office, tired of Jerry and Steven. What does it say to you when you hear one of the legends speak out on the team like that?
I mean, when a legend like that speaks, everybody listens and everyone believes it to be true because he's Emmett. He is the Cowboy. He's arguably the best running back in the NFL history. So yeah, when he speaks, everyone listens and everyone takes it as fact. And that is a fact, man. I mean, as a diehard Cowboys fan, all of my best friends were all diehard Cowboys fans. And every day in the chat, we're questioning what the Cowboys are doing. Why is it so difficult to field this team of guys that we have drafted and developed? Why is it so difficult to be true to your word? You're all in, be all in, go all in, Jerry. You're 95 years old. You ain't got too much time left up there at the front office. You go all in. You run a $10 billion franchise. You can go all in.
Do you know
get the guys?
What confuses me is that he's all in on Arkansas basketball right now.
Dude,
okay,
yes.
He spends more money going after Arkansas basketball players. Let's get Calipari. He joined the guys from Tyson Foods and Walmart because they want to build a championship winner over there. He seems to be throwing more money and attention towards Arkansas basketball than fielding an appropriate good team with the Cowboys. It's frustrating, by the way, because I used to be a Cowboy hater for a long, long time. Okay. I reveled in it. I loved it. I was a Cowboy hater before Stephen A. Smith was a Cowboy hater, right? I had that vitriol in me. Now I just feel sad for you guys. I just feel like it's just beating a dead horse at this point, going after a Cowboy fan when it comes to it. Don't get me wrong, I still cheer against the Cowboys, but I don't like go on social media and go crazy about it. But to see the Cowboys not sign CeeDee Lamb, because what I think is happening, I mentioned this on the show yesterday, I think they're going to franchise tag his ass next year and do it again because they want to save 30 or 40 million as opposed to taking care of their guy that they drafted mid-round in the first round a handful of years ago, who's arguably he is a top 3 receiver in the NFL. You can make the argument he's number 1 overall. I mean, Justin Jefferson's maybe more talented, but Jefferson gets hurt. CeeDee Lamb doesn't, right? Best availability is what? Ability. Best ability is availability. So that's what I see when it comes to CeeDee Lamb. He's very durable. He puts up numbers, and the Cowboys franchise tag his ass. There's not going to be any free agent that ever wants to go there. There's not going to be any agent who's going to want their first rounder to be going to Jerry and the Dallas Cowboys because they don't take care of their guys. They did nothing in the offseason, got no big names. What's the biggest name they got? Zeke Elliott? Zeke Elliott is a corpse out there. Zeke Elliott, we talked about the Cowboys. We talked about the Houston Texans depth chart, right? You're a Cowboy fan. Give me the Cowboys depth chart all over again. Who besides CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, who we got? We got
Zeke. We got Rico Dowdle. We got Brandon Cooks. We got Jalen Tolbert. We got Jalen Brooks. We got Jake Ferguson. That's a plus right there. Fergie's good. Fergie's good. But yeah, I mean it's thin across everywhere. Except for tight end. Tight end is our best position group. Tight end with Fergie, Shoemaker, and Hendershot. That's literally our best skill position group, which is insane.
Sam Salinas is saying that Mike was a Cowboys hater when being a hater was underground. I was a Cowboy hater before it was cool, man. Others are saying that they wish that David Robinson and George Gervin would say that we have pop fatigue.
No.
We'll debate that. We'll debate that in a moment. We'll bring that back up. But I like what's going on in the NFL right now. I placed I need to get your impression on this because I like to bet. I'm a degenerate gambler. I was at the Golden Nugget this past weekend. Threw down a few $100. The Snoop Dogg slot machines over there are amazing. But I offered up to $100 in bets, right? So 5 people at $20 each. Would you take this bet? Over under Cowboy wins. I'm going to set it at 8.5. So I'm saying I'll take the under that I believe the Cowboys will have a losing season this year. Or are you taking the over right now at 8.5? That's my personal.
I'll take over 8. I'll take over 8.
How, with what confidence level are you taking that 8.5 plus?
I'm fairly confident. I don't think we're gonna be a terrible team. I mean, while we don't have the skill position players, like what's the difference between this team and last year's team? Not a whole lot. I mean, we have the same group of guys, and our defense is better. We're getting Diggs back. Bell's in his right position.
Is the defense better? Playing. There's nobody playing defensive line right now that's worth a damn to stop the run. I mean, Mozzie Smith better turn up, man, because Mozzie Smith might be a flop, might be a bust out there.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely need the interior defensive line to show up. But I mean, Oso Digizua, one of the best interior defensive linemen. He's not a run stopper, but one of the most underrated interior defensive linemen. You still got Tank. You still got Micah. You signed a good running back in linebacker in Kendricks. Maybe have the best cornerbacks in the league with Trey Diggs and what's his name? Just lost it. Guy with all the interceptions.
Wasn't that Diggs last year? Lewis?
No, Jordan Lewis is solid. No, it's the other. Oh, what's his name? I literally just had it. Okay. Whatever. Great cornerback crew, good safety crew. Marcus Bell playing his true position. The defense as shored up as anyone. I mean, our defense is rock solid. Offense, we'll see what it looks like. I mean, beginning of last season, we had a brand new system put in, and it took Dak 6 games to get, into the motions of that. And we lost a couple games during those 6 games. So I think the Cowboys, while we're not a beautiful team on paper like the Texans or the Miami Dolphins, we don't have the big sexy names on offense. I still think we're running it back with the same team, with the same schedule, same strength of schedule, better defense, new and fresh defensive system that we saw in the first preseason game with a bunch of guys that won't make the roster. We had 5 interceptions in that? I mean, Mike Zimmerman
Mhm.
is turning that defense up. So I
Yeah.
think the Cowboys are going to be just fine. I mean, we're definitely not the Super Bowl or bust team that we have proclaimed to be over the past few years, but I think the Cowboys are definitely winning over 8 games. I really do.
It was Darren Bland, is who were the names that
Bland, Deron
we were
Bland. Thank you
searching
so
for.
much.
Thank you so
Deron
much,
Bland.
hand over fist for that. Going back and forth. We'll start with the NFC right now. The playoff teams that you're going to say right now, these are the playoff teams. Book it, bet a mortgage payment on it. San Francisco 49ers, right? That is a team that you lock it in. They'll be one of the 7, right? I would say Detroit Lions. Lock it in, right?
Green Bay Packers, lock that in.
You're gonna lock in the Green Bay Packers. Now they got Josh Jacobs at running back. They only got better with a better running back and a more experienced quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So we'll lock in those 3. I'm gonna say the Eagles. Saquon going over there, a healthier Jalen Hurts. I'm gonna say that those 4 are pretty much locks.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to take one from the NFC South, right? And it's gonna be the poo-poo platter that is the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the Falcons, or the Saints, right? One of them's gonna win.
Yeah.
One's gonna win 9 or 10 games. It's gonna make a playoff team.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Although I am excited about the Saints, man. I'm excited this year.
I like the rookie QB Rattler. I think he could take that job.
Spencer, baby.
That was a great pick.
That is great. That is great. And Olave, they have some pretty good wide receivers out there. They don't need Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas for 4 years was saying that he was going to come back from injury, and Michael he never Thomas did.
Ain't it no more. Yeah.
He had that 1,700-yard season and then just went away, right? So we don't have to worry about that anymore. But I like the Saints team. I don't love it. I like the team this year. I think that they had the very boring ass draft this year where they just did the trenches.
Yeah.
Offensive linemen, defensive linemen. It was boring, but that's what they need. They have the position players already, right? Shaheed is really good, man.
Oh, yeah.
So someone's got to come out of there, right? So that's that. So now you're looking at, we've already talked about how the Eagles should win the NFC East, how the Lions or Packers should win the NFC North. Somebody's going to come out of the South, and we know who's going to come out of the West. Now we're fighting for 2 spots that are wild card spots. Dallas Cowboys in contention for that, right? Chicago Bears. I mean, I know Caleb Williams is a rookie, and I know there's going to be some growing pains, but the team that they have around him is legit. You have the Rams, a healthy Rams team. They had no Cooper Kupp last year for most of the season. I'm just saying the Cowboys might win 9 or 10 games. It's conceivable. They could go 10-7 and not make the playoffs.
Yeah, certainly. That could certainly happen. Certainly could happen.
Kirk Cousins seems to always win games wherever he goes. He's a lock at 9 or 10 wins. It's just one of those things. And do you know who I like? I love me some Baker Mayfield.
I do too like Baker.
Give him some consistency. Give him the same team, the same offensive coordinator for once. He gets to come back. Dude, Baker might ball out this year.
He's a baller, man. He's a straight baller. He always has been, and I love the way he carries himself, the underdog mentality. Yeah, I've always been a Baker guy. It just sucks that he went to OU. That's the only reason.
Hey, real fast, we have Garrett from the Netherlands saying hi, everybody. Garrett, what's going on, my man? He was supposed to have a big medical procedure yesterday involving his heart, and sent me a message. I'm not going to go deep into the message, but apparently they're changing courses, and the pacemaker was not needed after all. So you can kind of get with him on social media if you want to know more about it. But, prayers up for you, man. Big thoughts, positive vibes for you, because I know that that's a lot to go through, especially when you've been trying to improve your health for so long. Garrett, our thoughts are with you, man. Our thoughts are with you. People are asking the question, where's Joe Garcia? So Joe produces this show, is also the co-host of this show. Joe is in training right now. He's doing his training for the Department of Homeland Security. He does IT. He works nights, which allows him to do this show, with me from 10 to 11:30 every day, Monday through Friday. But he's out for the next few weeks, so that's why I'm handling the producing side of it all while doing the show, and I'm not used to it, man. That 2-minute intro, I'm sure I missed a button somewhere around the line. Sith, by the way, is also a big part of our network. He was out at the WWE Raw yesterday in Austin. So go check out his Twitter streams when it comes to it. Jack, what's your Twitter handle, my man? It's Jack
Jack Thompson 33.
Very nice. Jack, here's the thing, man. I want to get personal with you, man. Gonna get personal with you. I gave you crap about this a couple of years ago. You and your girl still sporting matching outfits.
Oh yeah, we'll do it.
I love
we'll do
it.
it.
I'm not anti. I'm just saying,
Yeah. We're going to Hawaii in a week, so definitely be on the lookout for some coordinating outfits for sure.
I dig it, dude. I dig it, man. Want to get to know more about you. We'll do a little bit more during the pop culture segment as well. We'll talk about music or movies or whatever we've got going on. But we talked about fatigue when it came to Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, Cowboy fan fatigue. I have pop fatigue. Okay, I've had this for quite some time. Greg Popovich is going to be 76 years old as the head coach of the Spurs next season. Is he an all-time great? Yes, he belongs on the Mount Rushmore of NBA coaches. Okay, he's up there with Auerbach. He's up there with Phil Jackson. And you put Pop up there, whoever you want to put at number 4. Those are the top 3. Number 4 is whoever you want to pick, right? Pat Riley, Spoelstra, I don't care. But I'm looking at the Spurs team this year. It's a developmental season. They got Chris Paul III. They bring in Harrison Barnes. They're going to improve simply because Harrison Barnes is better than Julian Champagnie, right? I like to pick up what they're doing. They're not doing any. They're not going all in this year, right? It's not the Jerry Jones all in season. This is a, hey guys, we're going to go from 22 wins to 35 wins. That's what we're doing this year. Maybe if we catch a couple of breaks, people take a little bit of a leap. Maybe we'll get to 41. What is the most number of games that you see this team winning this season out of the 82?
I would say if it goes all correct, we're fully healthy, I could see us winning between 40 and 45 games.
Yeah.
That's probably best case scenario, 20-game jump.
20-game jump, I think, would be very, very, very possible. We got to see who's going to take those leaps from the Spurs. I mean, certain things would need to fall in place. Devin Vassell cannot miss 18 games again.
Nope.
Jeremy Sohan needs to stay healthy and improve offensive
and
games.
Not play point guard.
Right? Julian Champagnie needs to go get paid to do cardio and just cardio only, right? Just staple him to the bench, right? I can't stand watching him play. Stephon Castle needs to be the truth. He needs to get starter minutes. I want Stephon Castle. The over-under, by the way, on Stephon Castle, Vegas has the line at 9.5 points this upcoming season. 9.5. I think we'll get over it. I think we'll get 11.5,
like
12.
12. Yeah, I'm thinking 12. Probably pretty solid.
So
like 12, 4 and 3. I'm gonna go with 12.
Dude, that's pretty much the exact same stat line that I had there for him. People are like, no, he needs to marinate. They didn't marinate Sohan. They threw him out there.
Throw him in the fire. We're not in that marinating session of our team anymore. It's time to get used to the fire because we got places to be.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun season for the Spurs. What I enjoyed is watching Wemby last weekend, gold medal game, going up against an NBA All-Star team,
and he went off.
For 26 points. Like 11 for 18 shooting. When you saw Wemby go out there and ball out in a gold medal game when literally the entire world was watching and it was literally in his home country and his hometown, what did that say to you as to the type of player that he is?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that it really added anything to the type of player that I already thought that he was. I mean, the kid's made for the moment. He runs toward the light. He does not shy away from it. He wants the ball in his hand in the biggest moments of the game, And more often than not, he delivers in those moments. And there's a few and far between players that are cut from that cloth. And Wemby is undoubtedly one of them. I mean, if Wemby's healthy, he's going down as an all-time great. There's no question about it. And it could be the all-time great, depending on what his career looks like. And it's only everything that he's done to this point is only adding to that mystique of what Wemby is. I mean, silver medal at 20 against a team with 3 of the top 10 best players of all time on the team. It doesn't get any better than that or bigger than that for him. And I think this is really going to propel him and his confidence in his game even into the next stratosphere of what we thought we might see this season. And I think
Yeah.
Wemby undoubtedly has a chance to win. I think he's gonna be first team all NBA. I'm gonna go out and say it right now. I think Wemby is first team all defense, defensive player of the year, and first team all NBA this year.
I like it. I like the confidence in it. I'm going to take one step back. I think he'll win Defensive Player of the Year running away. In fact,
Yeah.
Vegas has it like a lock already, pretty much. When it comes to he'll make his first All-Star appearance this year. He'll make an All NBA team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see all
I'll
NBA.
I'll make second team All NBA, which is great
Okay.
because if he is that, by the way, then the Spurs are going to be a 500 team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They have to be at that point if he's a second team All NBA kind of guy, because what can we expect from him? I want to see Wemby somehow shoot better from 3. He was around 31% last year. He doesn't need to be a great 3-point shooter. He needs to be a 34% 3-point shooter, right? He's very streaky from behind the arc. I really enjoy watching his development. The shot does not look broken, but then again, we don't see shots like that coming from a guy who's 7'4", right? Now, Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs, Ken's 5. By the way, you can follow Jeff Garcia on Spotify, on Twitter, on YouTube like I do for Locked On Spurs. 5,000 subscribers cannot be wrong, I'm telling you. But here's the thing. Couple of stories on Locked On Spurs on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone, Kens5.com. First one was the Spurs signed a new player. And I heard this name, Jack, and I was like, there's only one person that I know that knows this player. We're talking about Brandon Boston Jr., formerly of Kentucky.
Yeah.
When I heard that name, I was like, you're talking about that 5-star guy from 5 years ago?
Yeah.
The Spurs brought him on
5-star
over.
kid, Sierra Canyon, played with Bronny, went to Kentucky.
12 points a game in Kentucky. He's all right.
Didn't pan out as well as he thought. I mean, he's just not the thing with Brandon. I mean, he's an electric player, good handle, great positional size. Just not a shooter. It's just he's never been a shooter, and that's really what is going to hold his game back until he can. He's got all the prowess, everything you need behind him. It's just the jump shot, man, and the jump shot's the make or break in the league unless you're great at a lot of other things. And he's just really not. I mean, he's been a scoring 2-guard his entire life. And then until he got to Kentucky, there's no one he ever faced that could guard him because, you ain't guarding a 6'7", 5-star in high school. There's few people in the nation that can do that. So
I just saw that name and I thought to myself, there's only one person that I know of in San Antonio who would know who Brandon Boston Jr. is and would know all his bona fides and everything about him.
This is all off the top too. I didn't even look anything up.
No one watched more college basketball than you do, man. Also, Adrian Wojnarowski, Woj bomb today. The Spurs hired New York Knicks player development coach Scott King to be the head coach of the Austin Spurs. All right.
Cool.
They made mention of the fact that he did get into an argument one time with a former player, but that was interesting. But Spurs making moves. And then also a story on Kens5.com about how there's a new anime character of Victor Wembanyama.
No way. In what?
I'm going to see if I can get the photo here. It says,
That's awesome.
It's the headline says Spurs Victor Wembanyama gets the anime treatment. Jazz player predicts big things for Wemby. So again, you can go to Kens5.com. Jeff Garcia has a story about this. Okay, so this is what Jeff says, quote, they just had to use the Goku Freeze team up versus Jiren battle for this, Por Vida fans. Have no idea what any of that means. Jordan Clarkson formerly of the San Antonio area, Utah Jazz guard, was also quoted as saying Wemby will win every award in the NBA at some point. One day. He'll win
Oh
every
yeah.
award. Defensive
Yeah.
Player of the Year, MVP.
Yeah.
He'll win it all.
He'll have all those awards within the next 5 years.
So, okay, but is Pop really the head coach to make this happen at 76? That's my thing about it, man. It's just like there's a 56-year difference in age between the star player and the head coach, and we're seeing Joe Mazzulla do so well as a head coach. We saw Ime Udoka.
Come on, Joe Mazzulla. Don't give me Joe Mazzulla. Man's got Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, Jaylen Brown. He had 3 players on the USA team. I could coach that team. Don't give me Joe Mazzulla. He ain't even in the same realm as Pop.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is younger coaches can sometimes get more of it. I'll give you another name. He's still in his 50s now, but he wasn't in his 50s before, was Jason Kidd. I think there's to identify with your head coach in a way, because I look at it this way. Pop has been a head coach of this team since 97, 98, right? So it's been it's been as long as the Cowboys have not been in the Super Bowl. It's been that long, right? So let's go back 27 years, your whole life.
My whole life.
Let's go back 27 years, right? So when he was first a head coach on this team, he was in his 40s. He was my age when he first became the head coach of the Spurs. I'm 47. He was right around my age. At the time, the star player was Tim Duncan, who had 4 years of college experience at Wake Forest, came on in, was 22 years old, and the age difference was 25 years between the two. Kind of a big brother, fatherly type of thing.
Tim was also 38 when he was 18.
Okay. What I'm saying is now the gulf is 56, 57 years, man. That's beyond grandfatherly advice. To me, like, I want the Spurs to have a long-term vision. The long-term vision can't be year to year of Pop. Just year to year of like, when's this guy going to leave?
Okay, I understand. Like, yes, Pop's very old, but who are you going to replace him with right now who's better? I'm not replacing him with anyone, except I know that it's going to be the same or better. Give me anyone that we could get that could do that.
You can't replace a legend with somebody.
Why are we talking about this if we can't do it? Then that's like,
because
Pop is going to leave when he feels that the Spurs are in good enough hands behind Victor and the rest of the team that a new coach entry is not going to be a deficit to the team. Right now, you get a new coach, everything's new for the guy that we think could be the best player ever. Why would you want to do that?
It could be Mitch Johnson. Just bring in somebody new who's part of the organization. Someone young, someone who's hungry, someone who's going to be out there and identifies with these players in a better way than a 76-year-old man can. I look at it this way. Look at Bill Belichick. How many head coaching positions was he offered since he left the New England Patriots? None. He's a legend. He's in the Mount Rushmore as well. At some point, you just move on from them. And the idea that Pop can just sit there and be head coach forever just sounds like Jerry Jones being the GM of the Cowboys forever. That's my problem with it. If you want to have a future for Wemby, you got to show him that there's a future for Wemby, not show him that, hey, this is going to be your coach for the first 2 or 3 seasons. That's my problem with it. You know, I kind of feel like there's no identity when it comes to it all. And is Pop an all-time great? Yes. You'll never, ever. He could be 98 years old, head coach of this team, still have 5 chips. Right? Still have 5 chips because that's it. He should have went off into the sunset. Dude, he'd be considered the greatest coach of all time if he retired in 2014 and walked out like David Robinson with a championship. But he's held on. We've had how many losing seasons in a row? 5. It's going to be possibly 6 this year. A little much, man. And there's a lot of Spurs fans out there who are on the Pop We Trust camp, man.
I'm in that.
Okay, someone says here, JHNSB says, the guy in the green, that's you, Jack Thompson, is right. I just think Mike doesn't like Pop because Pop was rude to him when he was a young reporter. That is true. Pop was a dick to me one time. By the way, back in the day, man, back when I had access, should Spurs hire Kenny Atkins as new head coach? I'm going to let you get that one there. What about Steve Kerr?
If Steve Kerr wants to leave the Warriors and come to the Spurs, that I would open. Championship experience, dealt with best players in the world. You need to think of all these things. I'm not hiring Mitch Johnson to try and take over Wemby.
No, we just
Like,
took we were just talking about how great it was for the Houston Texans to get D'Amico Ryans. Tell me what D'Amico Ryans' head coaching resume looked like before he went to Houston. It was
yes,
non-existent.
but that's different. He played for the team. Like, he has experience in the organization, and football is different than basketball. Basketball, you got one main head coach. Basketball and football, you got a head coach for each side and then a head coach of those head coaches. Like, it's different. D'Amico not running everything. He's not does like Pop is running everything with the Spurs. And we need that for Wemby, man. He's 20 years old. We can't hire a 20-year-old coach to come in and coach him. That don't even make sense. We need
Now, hand over
championship
fist.
experience.
Hand over fist reaches out and says, "We'll just get the dude from UConn." Talk about
Yeah, the
Dan
Lakers
Hurley.
just tried to do that. He ain't
Well, the
leaving.
Lakers
But if
lowballed him. The
they
Lakers
did
lowballed
lowball him
him.
bad, they did lowball him bad. Hey, I would love Dan. Dan, great coach. That's a guy that, if we're talking college ranks, I mean, yeah, Dan, I would take Dan. I would take Bill Self, I would take him. There's some college guys that I would take that I think could fit in seamlessly because they have championship experience. They have experience dealing with, like egos and all that. I mean, you're at UConn and Kansas, you're bringing in the best players in the country. That's what I'm talking about. Like, if we're bringing in a coach, he's got to have some of the same qualifications as Pop. Championship experience, dealt with best players in the league. Like, all those small things is what the Spurs need, and that's why we need Pop right now until Wemby alone can run this team.
The problem is the Spurs get rid of assistant coaches who go get that championship pedigree elsewhere. They get rid of guys like Ime Udoka. They get rid of guys like Mike Budenholzer who've had success elsewhere. That's the thing about it, is that like they took over franchises, and you might be able to say, well, I mean, not Missoula, because Missoula has Tatum and all that, but we have Wemby.
That's
You
one
know,
20-year-old. One 20-year-old.
joined by Jack Thompson. Now you are a coach, right? I'm an official. What are you coaching these days?
I took the summer off from coaching, so I didn't coach this summer, but I'm a basketball coach. Obviously that's my thing.
Okay, so is it AAU that you're doing?
AAU, yeah.
I officiate AAU. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. By the way, I was just noticing right now, and I want to know why you haven't done this, but the San Antonio Basketball Officials Association needs new officials for high school basketball. Jack, are you going to join me on September 6th for the orientation?
I mean, that does sound kind of fun, but I don't know if I'm trying to get yelled at, man. I've done my fair share of yelling at refs. I don't know if I want to be on the flip side of that.
So the training goes on September 6th and 7th at Judson High School on FM 78. It is a camp, a 3-man officiating camp, $75 to attend. That's to do 3-man officiating for varsity. Last year, believe it or not, Jack, people who come after me and say that I'm an idiot when it comes to sports don't know that I was officiating 6A varsity last year.
Hey, there's a difference between knowing the rules of the game and being able to speak the game.
So remember, you just got to sell the call. 33. Push.
I mean, reffing does sound fun. It's definitely something I've thought of before, and just, I'm obsessed with basketball, so just being around the game in general is always fun for me. So,
Dude, it's paid exercise, man. It's paid exercise. Where else are you going to get paid $60 to $70 an hour to work out? That's basically it, man. And the cool thing is that if you go to all these different school districts and you make less than $600 for each school district, they won't tax you at the end. They won't send you the 1099. So you kind of like monitor that. But middle school games, you make between $45 and $50 per game. It's usually about an hour. And then they give you like $20 for gas. And then high school games go from like 50 to 60 a game. And then the varsity gets between 75 and 100 per game. So not bad.
Not bad.
Do a varsity game, a JV game, and get the mileage, $155 in and out the door in 3 hours. Got
That
about
ain't bad. That
got about
really ain't
5-6
bad.
miles on the Fitbit on the Fitbit. They pay like within a week. And they have games all week long, man. Tuesday through
Oh yeah.
Saturday. If you want to officiate, they got games. And then because there's fewer officials than ever, because all the officials that are like experienced are all old, man. They're getting out of the game.
Yeah.
And now, dude, Jack, you are in your late 20s, right? About 27, 28?
28.
I bet you if you joined the association, you'd be officiating college within 10 years. I bet you would be. I just knowing you and knowing your physique and knowing your basketball knowledge, I bet you that they would rise you through the ranks real fast. They identify a handful of people and go, this is the fast track for these guys. I did a scrimmage one time in a college scrimmage. It was I did Texas State against who was it? Who are the Bearcats? The Sam Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it wasn't a preseason game. It was like a scrimmage. It was like doing the Rams Cowboys Oxnard. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. One time when they had me do training, they have glasses on that have no lenses, and then they take you into the a booth and they recall all the video images that you had. They want to see what you're looking at. The only way that you can see what you're looking at is if you call the game with glasses on, and then they can see where you looking.
Wow, that's crazy.
That was pretty cool. But again, camp's going to get going in September. For those who are new, training happens on Sundays, like Sunday mornings, for about 5 or 6 weeks. They get you going. Usually in your first year, you do middle school and up to JV. And they start off on the 3A, 4A level. I do JV a lot. I do JV for Brennan, Harlan, Holmes, Jay, basically the north side schools. And then I do varsity for SAISD, Northeast ISD, and Judson. Those guys can fly, man. Those guys can fly. So if anyone has any interest in officiating, reach out to me, dude.
Jack. Yeah, I might hit you up further about that. That does sound fun.
I can imagine you and me doing a game together, man. Imagine you and me, you because it would happen. I can say, hey, I'll trade him. And we'll go out there, man the court. Dude, the worst games I've ever done. They're not worse because it was great games. The venom I had on 46, it was Bernie against Center Point, right? One of those games, and then like that Highway 46 area from Smithson Valley to Bernie and all that. You go in there and the place vibrates. It is It is so ugly, man. Nefazuno reaching out to us saying Thompson's blood pressure is blowing up Mike's takes. You playing?
I get heated.
You play full court press. Let's get to know you a little bit, man. Oh, here's a question. Gary wants to know, what about Becky Hammond? Can Becky Hammond be the successor to Pop? Would you be okay with that? Because she's just a winner wherever she goes.
Yeah, that I would be fine with. I mean, that's San Antonio to its roots right there. Stars legend. She was with the organization, left, won titles. Yeah, I would accept Becky with open arms as the head coach. That's a basketball mind through and through right there.
Sam Salinas is asking the question. I'm going to rephrase it for you. Which of the big three, Tim, Tony, and Manu, would be most likely to be a head coach in the NBA? Most likely a head coach of the Spurs?
Manu, easily.
Manu?
Easily Manu.
Sam's thinking Parker.
Nah, Parker's too big time to coach.
Sam Salinas says they caught Mike looking at all the hot moms and not the game. Sometimes, dude. Sometimes there are hot moms in the stands. You can't avoid it. One time I officiated a game in San Marcos, which I went to school at Texas State. And this kid that was yelling at me looked like me in high school, Jack. And I was like, I'm doing the math, and I'm like, who's your mom? Where's your mom? Is it some girl from a frat party? Where's your mom? What sorority party did I meet her at? Mijo. Talking to Jack Thompson, San Antonio Sports Star. Dude, love having you on. Let's get to know you a little bit, man. We talk pop culture and nostalgia here. Okay? Pop culture is this. More like nostalgic pop culture. I want to know more about you and your taste. You're 27 years old, right? So you were born late 90s, right?
96.
Who was your celebrity crush growing up, man? Who was the one that was like the one that first caught your eye?
Celebrity crush growing up, like as a kid. That's tough. That's tough. Trying to think. I mean, I watched a lot of Disney and Nickelodeon as a kid.
So we're gonna hear Victoria Justice in a moment here.
Yeah, Victoria Justice, yeah, young Ariana Grande for sure. Um, Jamie Lynn Spears from
There
Zoe
you go.
101. That was a
There you
solid
go.
one.
Do you have
Oh, I
one
mean,
now? Do you have one now? Because we had our baddie brackets. I don't know if you saw the baddie brackets.
I did not see the baddie brackets.
Oh,
That's
okay.
tough, man. One right now, I mean, it's hard to beat Margot Robbie for sure.
There you go.
Um, so I love Sophia Bush. I'm a huge One Tree Hill fan, and Sophia Bush ages like fine wine. So I
Yeah.
definitely love some Sophia Bush. Um, Man, there's a lot. I mean, you're talking like the new gen. I like Zendaya for sure. Beautiful
Nice.
woman. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Blake Lively. There's too many, man. There's too
You're going
many.
way back in time, man. You're not saying the names of the ones that were in the finals, by the way. So we had a
What?
baddie brackets where we
Yeah.
had
What were
64
your
hotties.
finals?
We had hundreds of people vote. A lot of people thought I was sexist, and I was like, dude, we're just having fun, right? This is just guy talk. The finals was, and this is where I thought it was kind of
Give me
weird.
the final four. Give me the final four.
I'm looking for the final four here, but I'm looking at the final two. The final two were Salma Hayek, who's like an all-time legend, but she's 57 for crying out loud. Still,
Yeah.
still
I don't
hot.
think I don't think she makes the finals for me, but definitely an OG of the game. No
Sydney
doubt about that.
Sweeney was the second place
Yeah,
runner-up.
she's the new one for sure. She's the new one. I'd take Sydney Sweeney over Selma Hayek.
So the final. I found the final four. Found the final four. The final four include number three was someone that I took a photo up with, Paige Sporonic. And number four was Ana de Armas. So Ana de Armas was actually three, and Paige Sporonic was four.
Ana de Armas is a good one. Very,
Okay, so
very good one.
if you want to know who was in the Elite Eight, the Elite Eight included Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson,
Great one.
Gal Gadot, and
Mhm.
Dua Lipa were also in the mix in the Elite Eight.
Solid, solid.
So your dad owes me money, by the way. Rob Thompson from San Antonio Sportscast,
Good
hosts the
luck.
morning
Don't
show.
hold your breath.
We did a contest at Super Bowl Radio Row on the Monday night. They have the party there. It's a celebration that they have for the fans inside the basketball arena, where they introduce it's like a pep rally for the players. And if you're in the media, you can circle around the stage. The stage was like elevated like 20 feet up in the air, but you can kind of meander your way through. We decided that we were going to have a bet as to who can have the selfie with the most famous person. And we're texting each other who we're getting selfies with, right? So Rudy J, right out the gate, man, getting a selfie with Adam Schefter, getting a selfie with Josina Anderson. So he's like on the board. He's like, I'm winning, right? And everyone else is sending out, I'm over here looking at different reporters trying to get selfies and whatnot. And I look over, and I see this woman who looks really, really attractive, but I couldn't place who she was. And I realized that for 5 minutes I've been standing next to Paige Sporonic because she wasn't dressed in golf attire. She wasn't dressed in a bikini. She was dressed like in a
Like a
regular
normal
clothes. Yeah. And I introduced myself to her. And I said, "Hi, are you Paige?" And she goes, "Yes." I said, "I'm Michael, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Would you mind if I take a photo with you?" And she says, "I'll take a photo with you, but I don't like selfies. Can someone just take our photo, like a full-length photo?" I was like, "Oh, whatever, right?" So I'm getting the camera out, and your dad peers over, just looks over and sees me, and his eyes bug out. He was like, and I texted everybody, "Game over. There's ain't nobody bigger than Paige, dude. Ain't nobody bigger than Paige." And she ended up being part of our baddie brackets semi-finalists, man. What are you listening to music wise, man?
Um, I'm pretty generally a hip hop guy. I mean, that's my bread and butter, but I branch out into everything. I mean, I like country, I like some rock, I like, some
Last concert you
R&B.
been to? Last concert. What you have any concerts coming up? I saw Bone Thugs and Harmony and Ice Cube the other day,
That's
a
dope.
couple weeks ago. Gonna go see Post Malone in
Nice. Seen Post Malone.
September.
Yeah, I mean, back in I mean, not back in the day, as I still live back in the day in my life, but when I was in my younger 20s and in high school, I was a huge concert fiend. I mean, I went to ACL 10 years in a row.
Wow.
So I've seen everyone. But I've since fallen off of concerts. I would say COVID really like shut that down for me, and I've been to a few since, but I just haven't picked it up like I did. The last concert I went to was this band that my girlfriend showed me called The Greeting Committee. We saw
Hmm.
them last summer in Austin. Great show, really good band.
Dude, I love live music, man. I don't care what it is. I want to watch it. I think between now and the end of the year, I'm going to watch. I'll go to the Post Malone show. I want to go check out Mariah Carey in November. She's performing in
Nice.
Austin. She has a residency over in Vegas right now, but she's doing a one-off. Next month, I'm supposed to go see Childish Gambino in New
Seen
Orleans.
him a couple times. Yeah.
Really?
Oh
Where
yeah.
is it
I've
worth
seen
it?
him. Oh yeah, I saw him once at ACL when he was literally just getting started. Like there were 30 people at the concert at
Wow.
ACL. Like no one knew who he was. And then I saw him headline ACL a few years later when he really became big. Yeah, he's fantastic. Love Childish Gambino.
Do you have a favorite song of his, man? Because I go all over the place with Gambino.
Oh man, favorite song of his? I really like his old mixtapes, honestly, are probably some of
Really?
my favorite music from him. Yeah.
Yeah, I jumped on with like back in the day with like Sober,
Yeah.
Sweatpants.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
When he was
that
running around with Chance, that was a good era of his music too.
and then most recently he did a song on Saturday Night Live, which I finally found on Spotify like a week ago. It was called Saturday. Now he has another song called Saturday, but this is a different song called Saturday that's very Michael Jackson 80s esque.
Mhm.
He never released it anywhere. He only sang it live on SNL, and they finally have it on Spotify. It's
Nice.
it's
I'll have to check
easily
it out.
it's easily one of his best songs ever.
Sweet.
It's almost like an homage to like Prince, Michael Jackson. You could tell he's trying to be them
Yeah.
there,
Very cool.
and it's very cool. He also has a great rendition of a Garth Brooks song, which is basically his when Garth Brooks had his alter ego Chris Gaines. Let me see the name of that song. I'll send that one to you. Lost in You. That's what it's called. Lost in You. It's a very good
I've
song.
heard that one.
Yeah, his
Sounds
version's amazing.
familiar.
His version's amazing. But dude, I love concerts, man. Love concerts. We got some big
Oh yeah.
movies coming up this year. Gladiator 2 is coming out.
God, can't wait for that. Ooh, can't wait for that. Speaking of big movies, man, I'm ready. I gotta see Alien, dude.
Oh,
Alien
really?
looks incredible. Oh my gosh. That
Dude,
movie
see,
looks so good.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm a big movies guy. Also, I've come to realize that as I've gone through my divorce and all that stuff, that I'm actually like um, getting back in touch with myself. I don't want to get old. That's what I respect about your dad. Aside from the fact that your dad does take long naps during the day. Okay, he hibernates for about 2 hours a
Hey, I
day.
wouldn't blame him, man. I'm waking up at 3 in the morning. I'm taking a fat nap when I get home too.
You know what I like about your dad? Your dad will say, your dad, Rob Thompson at San Antonio Sports Star, your dad will sometimes say, I could eat a ham and cheese sandwich and chips every day for the rest of my life. And he does.
I'm the same way. I'm literally my dad. So yeah, I'm the same way.
We have a $4.99, $5 super chat from Tex-Mex Frank saying, bravo on show 200, Mike. Keep it going. Dude, it's with everybody here, man. Like I said, I'm not competing with Sports Star Ticket. Joe is not competing with Sports Star Ticket. We're now the only game in town doing a late morning, early afternoon show. Again, this is what's this is a big thing for us. We love Rudy J. We love Mike Taylor. They've been on our shows before. We go to their events. They go to our events. It's amazing. We're gonna have a party at some point this next month to celebrate 1,000 subscribers. So we're excited about that. We've got NFL football coming up. We got tailgating for UTSA football. Jack, I'm going to ask you a question before we go. I graduated from UTSA. I went to Texas State for my sophomore and junior year. I go to UTSA tailgates and I wear proudly blue and orange, right? But this year, GJ Kenny is hosting Trailer and the Fellas at Texas State. I want to wear maroon. Am I allowed to?
Yeah, you went to both. Wear what you want.
Nice. A lot of people disagree with that, man.
Yeah. Like
Jack,
you said, you can have your little Sancha. That's fine.
That's my Santa team.
That's fine.
Dude, when I graduated from UTSA, they didn't have a football team. They had that. They would sell this shirt that said "Still undefeated UTSA football." But that is Jack Thompson. Thank you for being part of number 200. How can we reach out to you on Twitter and all the socials, man?
Yeah, Jack_Thompson33 on Twitter. Hit me up. Anything sports or pop culture, always down to chop it up.
This is it, man. This is it. This is your guy when it comes to college basketball. This is your guy. No one watches more college basketball than you. And I will say that. I'm pretty good. You're great when it comes to college basketball. But as we both mentioned, our guy this year was Stephon Castle. We knew that was the
we were both on that quite early, yes.
Yeah, and I say we have the receipts, the tapes to say we were on Lockdown Spurs back in November and December going, that guy from UConn is a Spur. And it happened. By the way, last night I was turning on the TV, and I've had it on NBA TV, and they were replaying the draft. And I turned it on, and the second I turned it on, it said, with the 8th pick in the NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Rob Dillingham. And I started laughing. I was like, why are they still playing this? Like, why are Spurs fans still pissed off?
Great move. I didn't want Rob, so.
Very nice. That is Jack Thompson. Follow him on Twitter. We're going to be back tomorrow. Other guests that we're going to have this week, we're going to try to have Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs. Jeff, if you're listening, that's your invite. Spurs and Salsas. John Dyer will be on, and Spurnandez on Friday as well. Everyone have a fantastic day. Jack, thank you for being on, man. Hopefully we'll have you on in the future. Fantasy football, dude, because I know you're big into fantasy football as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we'll have you on when it comes to that, man. You are an encyclopedia of depth charts. Love it, man. Let's make it happen. Thanks for being on. Everyone, thank you for coming on, and thank you for the super chat, Tex-Mex Frank. We appreciate it, and we will be back tomorrow. Like and subscribe.
Peace.